right, I'm going to talk about how to do a roll hem. Roll hems are the foundation of sewing. And other types of hemming that you can do. So the fabric I have here is called a woven fabric. And what you do is you just look at your garment and you can tell if it has threads going up and down and then crossways. You should be able to see that. It's pretty visible. This is a knit, and you can tell it's a knit because you will see little rows, and it'll also be very, very stretchy. So the cool thing about knits is that you don't necessarily have to hem them because they don't fray. They will curl like this, but they don't fray. So if you're hemming something that you already have that's store-bought, you can just cut it wherever you need to and call it a day, because it's not going to fray. But if you wanted to put a hem in it, you'll just do a roll hem. The same thing, this is a jersey that I have. I'm pretty sure it's a jersey, but it's very, very stretchy. It doesn't have like any discernible like weave to it, unlike the knit. It does have a weave. And then you have things like t-shirts. This is some t-shirt scrap that I have. This also doesn't really fray. I mean, really doesn't do much. So if you had like a t-shirt dress or something like that, you don't necessarily have to hem it, but yeah, so you just do a roll hem with this too. So the roll hem is a way. So hemming is really important, okay? Because you have to seal the edges of raw material for the most part. Like this is super frayed. And so you have to conceal that because the more you wash it, the more it's going to fray. And so hemming protects the longevity of the garment. But what's so cool about roll hems is that you can use them everywhere. So these are some pants that I made for the boys. And so for the elastic casing for the waistband, I just did a roll hem. Same thing with the bottom here, just did a roll hem. Same thing with a shirt that I made myself. I roll hem the sleeves and added elastic. I did a very large roll hem on the bottom and put elastic in there too. So you can do roll hems of many different sizes. And there are also other ways you can hem. I'll just go through those really fast. So you can use your serger, like I have over here. That's going to cut your fabric and bind off the edge. Very similar, if you can see that. This is what's inside store-made garments. And then like in this, you can see I serged the edges so I wouldn't have to finish them off any other way. But if you don't mind having more of a raw edge that has thread on it, just serge it off. Like, that's fine. Another way that you can hem if you do not have a whole lot of fabric to play with, like if you made something yourself, is by using a tape or a ribbon. And what you can do is you sew it on right on the edge, and then like on the front, on your right side of your fabric, sew it on all the way around. And then what you're going to do is you're going to iron it and then roll it. So it's going to look something like that. And so that's only like maybe like half an inch or so. And so on the inside of your garment, you'll have the tape, and on the outside, it'll just be your regular hem. There are other ways you can measure and do things, but your basic roll hem that you should probably know is a 1/2 inch roll hem. A 1/2 inch roll hem means the hem itself is going to be 1/2 inch, but you have to have an inch of fabric. So what you're going to do is figure out how much you need to take off. So let's just say you have a store-bought dress or something and you need it to come up, let's say 4 inches. So once you figure that out, what you're going to do is you are going to take your garment, you're going to lay it out, and then you are going to measure up from the hem 4 inches, right? And so I'm just going to do 2 inches. This is just a personal preference, but I prefer ballpoint pens. I know that they leave a lot of marks on fabric, but they are very easy to use and they work on almost every fabric. Just personal preference. So anyway, so you'll measure up, let's say 4 inches, and you'll mark all the way around, right? Why is this pen not working? So you'll mark 4 inches. Try to get this pen to work. There we go. Okay. So you'll draw your finished line all the way around your garment, or where you want it to be hemmed. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take a ruler. So this is a quilting ruler. You can get at, I got this at Joann, but you can get it at Hobby Lobby or whatever. So what you're going to do is you're going to measure down 1 inch from this line. So 1 inch down. So once you get back all the way back around, you'll take it and you will mark 1 inch from that line. Okay, so the 4 inch line that you needed him to is up here. And then you're going to put the 1 inch line here. And then you are going to draw this line. You go all the way around. Then you're going to take your scissors. Highly suggest just having 1 pair of scissors for fabric. It will make your life way easier. If you don't have special fabric shears, your scissors can tear and snag the fabric. And so it keeps them sharp. Okay. So now you have just 1 inch and it's super easy. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your iron, and I promise you, if you iron it well enough, you probably won't even have to pin it. So make sure whatever iron you have is turned up on high, highest steam. The only reason why you would ever need to not have an iron on high would be because you're dealing with silks or other very, very delicate fabrics, wools, where you don't want steam. For the most part, most of the stuff that people buy in the stores, they're not that delicate, I promise. So then what you do, so your next step is you have your iron, nice and hot, super steamy. You're going to take this edge and you're going to line it up to your 4 inch line. Okay. I'm just going to line it up, and then you'll iron it like that. And then you'll do that all the way around your garment or your hem. So now we have our raw edge here. This is the line we're trying to hem to, right? Right there. Now, once we get back around, we are going to roll it again. So, kind of what I do is you can feel the fabric with your fingers. So the line is really just for that first roll. So you roll it up and you iron it. And you move to the next section and you roll it up and kind of finger press it and you iron it. And that's it. I like to cross pin, so I always go like this. probably about every inch or so. This is very stable fabric. This is just a cotton weave. It's very stable. In reality, I probably would not even pin this. But just do like that. And then you'll be able to sew over your pins. So where you're going to sew is right on the line, okay? Maybe like a quarter of it, or not a quarter, like an 1/8 or a 1/16 in. So, not very far into it. So if you are doing a fabric, let's say like this, and you decide that, yes, I would like to roll him this. This is a very slippery fabric. It's very stretchy. So when you put that through the machine, it might stretch out on you. So I'm just going to iron this. I'll show you how I would pin it. And the same thing, like when you are ironing this fabric to put it and roll him, you do not want to pull it. You're not pulling it. You're just gently placing it, ironing it, because you do not want to stretch this out of shape. Because what's going to happen is it gets stretched out of shape. You sew it like that, and then once it's sewn, you're going to have this weird gathering, and it's not going to lay right. So you have to make sure that you're not stretching it. So because this fabric is so slippery, you're going to want to pin a lot more. So, you can do something like a cross pin, and then pin regular, and then a cross pin. Or you can just put a bunch of cross pins. I'm a fan of cross pinning, so I almost always put just put a bunch of cross pins in there. Put them in as much as you feel comfortable. The pins are there to stabilize the fabric, so as you are moving it through the machine, the feed dogs aren't stretching it. So when you do put something real stretchy like this through a machine, you want to have like the lightest touch. You're just like, you're letting the machine do the work and pull the fabric through. You do not want to be pulling. You don't want to be pushing. You're just kind of like, you're really guiding it. Also, just generally for stretch fabrics, unless you have a serger, you should use a zigzag. But that's, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily have to do it on a hem because the hem's not taking any stress. So, the zigzag would, help the fabric move without popping the stitches and like creating a hole in your garment. Now, there is something with hemming, especially for dresses and skirts. So I'm going to try to show you what I'm talking about. This has a really nice curve, so this is actually great. So some skirts and dresses, the waistband is narrower than the hem, right? So like a circle skirt. So the circle skirt, you have the circle around the waist is your waist measurement, and then it balloons out. So what happens is when you try to hem something that this is larger than this space up here. So what's going to happen is when you go to hem this, especially anything circular, you are going to end up taking tucks. So it's going to pucker on you, right? Because like, look how much more, you see that? So sometimes if you're pinning something, you're going to have to take little pleats almost, because you're putting more fabric into something that's skinnier, right? So let's just say, I'm just going to cut this. so you can see what I'm talking about. So, like, let's just say this is, like, a side of a circle skirt. Hopefully you can see what I'm talking about now. Okay. So this is your skirt panel, right? So here's your waistband. Here's your seam down here. So when you try to hem this, you're trying to put something bigger into a smaller space. So you're going to have to put little like tucks and things in there to make it lay flat. So don't worry about that. That's fine. It's perfectly normal. So yeah, that is how you do a roll hem. So let's just go through this again, right? So you measure up, and then you mark where you want the finished hem to be. You measure down 1 inch, and then cut that off at the 1 inch line. And then you roll it up once, iron it, roll it up a second time, iron it, pin it, sew it. That's the process of doing a roll hem. Oh man, I was about to say something. I can't remember. But, oh yeah, you can do roll hems of like different, sizes. So, like on this shirt that I made, I did a roll hem, but I did 2 inches. So it's 2 inches here and it's 2 inches back here. So what I did was I measured, like where I wanted the end to be, and then I measured down 4 inches, right? And then I measured up 2 and then 2, right? Because this doubled, this 2 inches doubled. It's going to be 4. So, and then there is another method that I found that's really interesting. I'll show it to you here. It's from an old sewing book that I have. This actually is the best to use, I have found, for elastic. So a problem with elastic is you're running into all these seams. Like right here, you're running into all this stuff, and your safety pin and stuff can get caught. I have found a solution from an old sewing book. So what they say to do is you roll it up pretty much like 1/4 of an inch, right? Roll up 1/4 of an inch, sew this down, and then what ends up happening is when you sew this down, you sew all these down, all of your seam allowances down. So then when you actually, this one you would have to make sure you're on the line. So then you sew right here, right along the edge, and you have an elastic casing that these safety pins not going to get caught in. It will have an extra line of stitching, but it's worked really well and it's saved me from a lot of headaches. So I would do that if you're doing elastic casing. But that's pretty much all I can think of. Oh, other fabrics that you don't have to hem would be like netting, tulle, things like that, that you can just cut off and call it a day. So yeah, that's hemming.